Welcome to the Dome Discussions Podcast. Your top source for all things New Orleans Saints. Powered by four voices who live and breathe black and gold.
Touchdown!
Every hit, every play,
Welcome to the NFL.
every moment. We've got it covered.
Let's go! Let's go! Go!
What's going on, Who Dat Nation? Appreciate everybody tuning into the Dome Discussions Podcast, part of the Be in the Know Network. I'm Kyle Besson with Canal Street Chronicles.
Jennings with Canal Street Chronicles.
I'm Caleb Yacarino with Canal Street Chronicles.
I'm Drew Collins, Who Dat Dish.
And we have finally made it. This is finally our first episode before football is officially back for the Saints. Not fully there, but we're kind of there. We got our first preseason matchup with the Los Angeles Chargers on Sunday. I believe it starts at noon for everybody in Central Time. The Chargers are coming off a pretty impressive win over the Lions last week on their Hall of Fame game, where the Chargers beat out the Lions 34-7. Quarterback Trey Lance looked like he belongs as a quarterback in this league, which is something that we haven't seen in a while. He struggled a lot when he actually got the chance to start. But during the preseason, he did what he had to do. He threw 2 passing touchdowns. He went 13 for 20. Obviously, he's going to be playing against a young Saints defense out there who is probably going to have a few starters, try to get a hold of this new scheme. You know, that's a lot that I know we're going to talk about later. But with that being said, this is going to be a good game. I see it as a good game. You know, maybe a Brandon Staley revenge game on the Chargers preseason, something like that. But what's some things that you guys are actually looking for in this matchup?
Yeah, I know you want to get into it a little bit as well, Kyle, but I'll be looking at the running back rotation. Kellen Moore said Alvin Kamara won't be playing. He says you know what you're going to get from him. He said that reps between the rest of the running backs have been tricky to split throughout training camp. He said there's not one guy on the 53 that can't make the 53-man roster in that room. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see who steps up. I think Kendre's got to be unleashed because, like me and Caleb mentioned last week, if he's going to get injured in the preseason, he's going to get injured in the regular season. So you might as well just see if he's been able to put it all together. Obviously, we know he's a great football player. It's just staying healthy, and I think giving him a good game just to knock off that rust from the offseason will be useful for him. And then, obviously, we won't be seeing Devin Neal dealing with that hamstring injury. Really unfortunate timing for the Rook. But then guys like Marcus Yarns are going to be very intriguing. He's had great bursts throughout training camp. I feel like he's going to be very prominent in the receiving game, and I can't wait to see what he can do. And Cam Akers is another guy who I believe is a sleeper to become that second running back for the Saints. He's a veteran guy. He's been on a Super Bowl winning team. He's produced in the league, and he's looked good throughout training camp. So that's another guy I have my eye on. Another position I'll be looking at is the linebackers. It'll be really interesting to see how the young linebackers look, because obviously this tells a lot about maybe what you have after DeMario's tenure in New Orleans when he hangs up the cleats. Danny Stutzman has looked like the real deal throughout training camp. If he can show it in game, that gives me a lot of hope about the depth behind DeMario and Pete Werner. And if he can show it in the regular season, we might be looking at a potential successor for DeMario as well, from a character standpoint as well when it comes to Danny Stutzman. And Nephi Sewell has 2 picks throughout training camp, has looked really good. Really unfortunate injury history, but looked good when given the chances these past couple of years. It'd be good to see him get his game mojo back against the Chargers after last year's ACL tear. So I'm looking forward to those 2 position groups for sure.
Yeah, and I actually want to add on to the running backs because we know as a team, the Saints have carried 4 running backs on the roster through the regular season over the last few years, and Kellen Moore is a little different. He's held 3 running backs on his roster over the last 3 years, and that's really interesting in what is a loaded Saints running back room if you look at it. Outside of Alvin Kamara, you have Kendre Miller, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Cam Akers, and those are all Kendre Miller's not proven, but he's someone that's going to make the roster. He's a solid guy, and they want him to be Alvin Kamara's successor. So he feels like a lock to make the roster, obviously. And then you got Clyde Edwards-Helaire, a guy that the Saints really liked and committed to him after last season to bring him back. And then Cam Akers, another guy. And then you have our younger guys that you named, Devin Neal, Realish Jones, Yarns, and then it's like, how do the Saints knock this down to 4, even possibly 3 running backs? Obviously, in my eyes, I can't see any way that this goes below 4 at all. But what are the 4 names? And I feel like preseason is going to be a good tell at how they line them up, who goes first, who gets little action, and depending if it's a veteran that gets little action, is that somebody that they're already sold on and they think, okay, we know what he is, and they just let the young guys fight it out. I'm really interested in this running back competition. And I'm also, like I said, happy to see Kendre Miller healthy, and I can't wait to see what he can do, because I feel like early on he's going to have a lot of workload, get his body conditioned for this game or for the season, and really, because hits from those pads, the first day of pads and playing against another team, those hits are significantly different. So guys are going to be hitting harder than they've been hit at this point, and Kendre Miller's a guy who deals with some injury problems, so is that going to affect anything like that as well?
Yeah, for Kendrick Miller, I'm definitely more focused on kind of not making a lot of mistakes on the field. Obviously, we know his talent, we know his athleticism, his running ability, and I think he can dominate it against the Chargers. But I more care about not dropping passes, picking up blocks, doing everything he needs to do that is not just based on athleticism or talent. And going back to the roster conversation, I do think it's going to be 4: Alvin Kamara, Kendrick Miller, and then again, those 3 and 4 is really where it gets a little foggy. I think Devin Neal just makes this roster based on was just drafted. My UDFA pick, Marcus Yarns, I don't see a vision for him making the roster anymore. Maybe that changed in preseason, which he'd be the number 1 running back I'm watching out for. And then I think it's between Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Cam Akers for that more veteran presence that is in Alvin Kamara. I know Cam Akers is still younger, but I still think he has so much talent. And in let's say Kendrick Miller doesn't get those mistakes fixed, like dropping passes or not making the correct block. If Cam Akers can do that, that shows a lot to the coaching staff, and he can make the roster. So it's definitely going to be something cool to watch.
Different position that I'm really looking out for is the defensive backs. First off, I'm not expecting this game to be pretty. Chargers have experience. They blew out the Lions. Trey Lance looked like he should have been looking his whole career, like a 3rd overall pick. So I'm not expecting it to be pretty. Keandre Lambert-Smith for the Chargers, another receiver who's very talented, drafted out of, I believe, Auburn this year. He's very talented. I'm going to be interested to see how the Saints defense matches up to it. You've got Quincy Riley. You've got all of them. Can they defend him well? And big plays are going to happen. But how do they respond to those big plays? With that young of a group, are they really going to get down in their head and just snowball effect worse and worse? Are they going to pick themselves back up, start to try to make a play, see what the energy is on the field, and play off that?
Yeah, I think it's important to look at the matchups that these cornerbacks are going to be playing against. I mean, they just signed Keenan Allen. They already had Ladd McConkey. And again, we don't know who's playing at this time, and we don't know who's playing and who's going to get. But we're going to. Early indications is some starter play. Usually, how it works is preseason week 1, we get a little bit of starter play. So these DBs are going to be tested because, like you said, they had a wide receiver out this year, and he had a great game. Ladd McConkey was a breakout player, better than anybody think. Quinton Johnston, I always go over it.
Quinton Johnson.
Quinton Johnston
He's there.
was a first-round pick, not last year, but 2 years ago. Like, they have the talent there. And then, obviously, they brought back Keenan Allen. I don't know if he's going to see much play. Probably not. But there's going to be a lot of – these guys are going to be tested because our DB room is really young. And while they have a young wide receiver room, that's a lot of talent there too.
Yeah, and the Chargers also have Trey Harris out of Ole Miss, a guy that I was really high on coming out of the draft. I really wanted the Saints to look into him. I expect Quincy Riley to get a heavy workload of some potential future number 1 overall wide receivers. I like I said, I was very high on Trey Harris. I think he's got the talent to be a number 1 wide receiver in this league. So I'm excited to see him match up against guys like Quincy Riley, Rico Payton, even Isaac Yadam. We know what we're going to get from Isaac Yadam, but it'd be nice to see him out there back in this defense again, just to kind of knock the rust off, like I said earlier.
Yeah, it's also going to be really cool to...
Yo.
You go.
Go after.
Okay. It's also going to be really cool to see Alontae Taylor if he does play, because I'm assuming he is going to play his alignment in the defense, if he's going to play that star role in Brandon Staley's defense, and how much he's going to play in the slot and how much he's going to play on the outside, because that might hint to us how the 53-man roster cuts are going to look with the cornerbacks and how the alignment is going to look, because that's going to be huge. Yeah.
I was going to say is I love how this Chargers wide receiver room has so many different archetypes of receivers. The Saints QB room is going to be seeing all types. Trey Harris is a big-bodied receiver who will go up and get it. You're going to have your speedsters. You have Darius Davis, who is, I think, out of TCU a couple years ago. You've got Keandre Lambert-Smith, another speedster. I don't know if these two are going to play, but you also have Keenan Allen and Lad McConkey, two amazing route runners. They're going to see every single type of receiver that they're going to match up against in the season. So how do they respond to it?
Yeah, and I kind of wanted to go back also to the alignment that I was talking about with Brandon Staley. And what I'm looking out for in this game is actually the defensive line alignment more than anything. That 3-4 defense has been such a big conversation this whole offseason. The Saints finally switching from the 4-3 to this 3-4, and how are these players going to work in it? I want to see who's playing outside linebacker, who's playing the edge, and who's playing in on the inside for defensive tackle. Because we've seen Brian Brzee in practice has played that 3-4 defensive end. We've seen Chase Young play the 3-4 outside linebacker. And I also wanted to see how much they're in the 3-4. When Brandon Staley came to the Saints, one of the conversations was that they might not go straight to 3-4 heavy, just go in on this alignment, because a lot of the Saints players that have been on the team and are still on the team do not have any history of playing in those formations. So learning there's going to be a learning curve with that. So I want to see if they're going to ease it into that, or they're just going straight in 3-4 defense and seeing how that works.
Yeah, and going back to the alignment, we are recording this at 4 o'clock Eastern on a Thursday, so there are still 2 practices to be had before this game. And tomorrow on Friday, Kellen Moore said the Saints are going to be having another scrimmage, so I assume we'll be seeing a lot of those where people are lining up, and what we'll see basically a preview of Sunday's game, which will be interesting to see. So yeah, I definitely, and look, the only player we are aware of that isn't playing on Sunday is Alvin Kamara. So hopefully we get more clarity on that later in the week as well, because I'm really intrigued to see these young guys stand out in their first ever preseason game.
Yeah, and one thing that kind of goes with both Caleb and Drew were saying is this is also kind of the first time that we get to see a lot of these Saints defenders as well. Julian Blackmon's one, Justin Reed, a veteran again, so I'm not so sure if he'll actually make an appearance in the game. It probably likely wouldn't, actually. I bet it'd be Julian Blackmon, Jordan Howden. What's my early guess? But it's a time where we're going to see a lot of these guys out there early for the first time for the Saints. So another exciting reason to actually tune into this game is I know a lot of people look at preseason and kind of look over it because you're kind of dumbing down the playbook. You're not actually seeing what you're going to see in the regular season fully. But this is your first time seeing, a lot of these newer Saints on the team. All right. I forgot that you guys already did it. Yeah, that was awesome. Okay, so go to probably the biggest question with it is now during the preseason game. What we kind of briefed over maybe a couple times, but we wanted to save it is the QB battle. That is the biggest talking line going into it. We actually don't even know who's going to get the nod to start. I feel like we can all safely predict that it's Spencer Rattler, and I would bet that's all of our guess is Spencer Rattler is going to be the one, first player taking snaps. But this is, again, the QB battle. This is where it actually begins. Now, it starts in camp, always starts in camp, but this is where you're going to see your most tells. This is where you're going to see everything that you've been waiting for, because these guys are going to be playing against 11 guys that don't know you. They don't have any care for your health. They don't have any care if you make the roster or whatever. They're fighting to make the roster themselves. So that's where all of these plays matter. Every single thing. This is going to be the biggest difference that we see out of it. Some important questions like, can Tyler Shough actually play against a pass rush? Because these guys are going to hit them if they get the chance. Things like that. We're going to get our answers. So what are some things that you guys are kind of looking for in this QB battle, and what maybe your predictions with how they perform?
Yeah, look, In the last practice in New Orleans on Wednesday or Tuesday, I believe, the Saints ran a bunch of team drills. Rattler got work with the ones again, which marked the first time this entire offseason that a quarterback has gotten back-to-back days with the ones. So it's pretty clear which direction this is heading, and I expect Spencer to get that starting nod on Sunday. But when it was Shough's turn with the ones, his first pass was a near pick, and his third pass was a pick. It's starting to seem like Jordan Howden, and if I saw, I kind of made a joke about this in the group chat, but it's starting to feel like those two are Tyler Shough's top targets throughout training camp right now. But look, like you mentioned, Kyle, it's going to be significant to see how these QBs handle pressure. That's something I'm going to be watching really closely. We've seen Spencer Rattler looked a lot more poised and calm. He looks like he's prepared for the quickness of the NFL after one season. Tyler Shough, on the other hand, has had some struggles with it. We mentioned Brandon Staley sending the house at all the quarterbacks throughout practice, and Tyler Shough sometimes dealing with some issues with that. So I'm definitely intrigued to see if Tyler Shough can handle it better in game. Spencer Rattler, I expect some improvement, and if he can really handle a first drive well, I don't think we'll be seeing much Spencer Rattler in Sunday's game at all.
I actually agree a lot with you because I forgot to say something. For me, I should probably stop doing this. Jake Haener's also in the fight for QB1. So, how much playtime is he actually going to get? That's also a consideration because I agree a lot with you, actually. I believe we see Spencer Rattler maybe only the first quarter and then the last three quarters, which, again, it's important to note the Saints did also sign Hunter Deckers. Are we going to see Hunter Deckers at all in that game, or is that going to be like a preseason week 3 game where they kind of see what they have in Deckers? You have 4 quarterbacks. You only have 4 quarters to play these guys each game, so either there's going to be a quarterback that we don't see, or we really see limited of all these guys.
Yeah, I actually kind of agree with or disagree with both you. I actually think that Rattler is still going to get the main amount of time, and I think it's because the Saints are starting to lean towards him being the starter. I said last week that the Saints can name a starting quarterback as early as next week after this game, and I think they can confirm everything they believe in this game. I do think Spencer Rattler plays, if I had a prediction for time, certain snaps played, I think Spencer Rattler plays the first half. Then third quarter is either Jake Haener or Tyler Shough, and then the other quarterback gets the fourth quarter. That's what I think is going to happen. And I just wanted to also bring up how, just to emphasize how important preseason is, one of the main reasons why the whole Saints fan base was behind Spencer Rattler last season was because of what he showed in preseason. Because the Spencer Rattler show started in preseason. It was amazing to watch, and it was like, oh, here's an actual potential starting quarterback option, not just training camp, a little bit of whispers here, a little bit of doing well. It was preseason where he really showed it. So this could be the place where Tyler Shough shows it. If Tyler Shough plays amazing, outplays both quarterbacks, everything changes. I don't see a quarterback being named until not last minute, but very late. If Tyler Shough outperforms Spencer Rattler, do I think that's going to happen? No. I think Spencer Rattler is going to play very consistent in this game. I think if he did well in preseason last year with little development coming out of the draft process, then I think he's going to be improved, and he's already showed improvements this offseason. So I see Spencer Rattler taking the job after this game. But yeah, I just see him, Spencer Rattler, playing more minutes than the other quarterbacks in this game.
I'd agree with that. I think Spencer Rattler is going to open the gap between him and Tyler Shough this game. But Saints fans shouldn't overreact because of that. This is Tyler Shough's first career NFL, even preseason game. And he's going against a defense who already has one game under their belts. I'm expecting him to struggle. I'm expecting the pressure to get to him. It's not going to be perfect, and I think we should all expect that. But I think Rattler will have a huge upper hand on this, just his experience, all that. I think Jake Haener is going to outperform Tyler Shough this game. But I think Shough in the next 2 weeks will have a lot more to show. And I think once he settles in, he'll start getting his rhythm and start really showing why the Saints drafted him in the second round. I don't think a starting quarterback should be named until after the preseason or maybe the final week.
That prediction of Jake Haener, that was going to be what we're going to do, bold predictions and predictions later. That was going to be one of my bold predictions, was that Jake Haener outplays Tyler Shough. Because if you think about it, Jake Haener has 3 years of experience, if I'm not mistaken, 3 years. So has experience, has been getting a lot of snaps in practice, has had not history. He's already played NFL games. I just see him outplaying Tyler Shough. Again, could Tyler Shough outplay him? Yes. I mean, Tyler Shough has the talent to do that. But is he going to? I'm less sure that's going to happen. And I really do think Jake Haener outplays Tyler Shough in this game.
And maybe that's not such a bold prediction, because in Jeff Duncan's newest column, Drew Brees says he sees himself a lot in Tyler Shough. So, maybe you get a Drew Brees performance out of Jake Haener coming into this game. Sorry, I just had to bring it up. All right, but yeah.
So,
go ahead.
Real quick, going back to Nick's point a little bit earlier, bringing up the practice snaps. I wrote an article about that, how they've changed it, and now Spencer Rattler started the 2 practices in a row. I think it's important for this game because it's like, okay, I think they're trying to get the starting QB for this game ready to start the game. I think that's what they were doing, but also reading into this fully, it could be the Saints being like, okay, we want to start preparing Spencer Rattler to become the starter of this team. We want him to get the chemistry with the ones and really start kind of ramping that up. So if he does confirm it this preseason, then we just go with that. That's reading into it, but I also think that could happen.
And I mean, one thing that can also very much be true is maybe not so much for Jake Haener, because I don't believe it'd be true for him, but Spencer Rattler gets a start this week, and Tyler Shough might get the start next week in week 2. Could be another way to evaluate both these guys playing with the ones. Again, develop this chemistry and kind of see how it works from there. Because what you said could be right. We could get a whole half, maybe even, a whole half out of each guy. But like Spencer Rattler gets first half of this week, and next week Tyler Shough gets the first half. That'd be a lot of wear and tear in our starters, so I don't think the starters fully get that much play time. But it's just, again, something that we could be seeing and a way that they're going to evaluate it.
Yeah, and I also think it's definitely worth noting that just because a guy is starting today with the ones at practice doesn't mean he's been with them all day. The Saints have been rotating each guy with the ones throughout every practice, so they're all getting their work in with the ones, with the twos, with the threes. This could just be Kellen Moore's approach to being vanilla with it and not giving away too much just by going with the order he's stuck with from day one of training camp. Because each guy's getting, I wouldn't say the same amount of workload. We see some days where it varies, but each guy's getting work with the ones each day, which is important to note.
Yeah, but I mean, that's it for our QB talk. And again, it's going to be the most exciting thing for us to evaluate, watch for the game. It's the sole reason, if you had to watch the game, is to see how Spencer Rattler, because he's turning heads in training camp, that's just a fact. And then your rookie quarterback, how are these guys going to play? Shoot, Jake Haener, Hunter Deckers, how are these guys going to play? It's the biggest talking point for the Saints right now, and it's been a while since we've been able to actually really fully be excited about a QB competition going in preseason. So make sure you guys definitely tune into that game, because it's not one that you'd want to miss. But coming out of the preseason QB talk for a little bit, we can go into our trivia, which I have already said, I told these guys earlier, but I think this one's going to be really easy. I feel like this one's going to be really simple. I mean, I might name, like, it just might be a little too easy, but it's one that kind of might cross someone's mind. You might completely forget. But anyway, let's get into it. Starting with teams, I'm not going to say the years yet. He started his career with the Saints. Bengals, Panthers, Bengals. Feel like that's
Von Bell.
Is this Von Bell?
Yeah, it's Von Bell. I knew it'd be too easy. I just saw a video of him in the Super Bowl, and I forgot that he was part of their Super Bowl team. So I was like, let's try Von Bell, see if he crosses somebody out. It felt too easy, and I that's why I told one of you to pick one, because it definitely did feel too easy. So who you grabbed another? It was you, Nick, that has a backup one?
I got one.
Okay.
I got one. Okay. So he started his career with Seattle, went to Pittsburgh, went to Denver, went to New Orleans, to New York, to Los Angeles, to the Chargers, to the Titans, and is currently a Minnesota Viking.
Wow.
Whoa.
Can you say that again?
Oh my.
I'm just gonna give you
write all
teams
this
in
down
order.
and like
Seahawks, Steelers, Broncos, Saints, Giants, Chargers, Titans, now a Viking.
Let me just think of who the Vikings had. Wow.
Did you say Saints, New York, Chargers?
Yeah.
Which New York?
Giants.
How many teams is that?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
8 teams.
Saints Giants. I should know this. I should know Saints Giants.
Broncos, Saints, Giants. Wow. Okay.
Grew up with too many Giants fans to not know this.
First guy
Broncos,
that
Saints,
popped in my
Giants.
head was Latavius Murray, but that doesn't make sense. He started with the Vikings, and he's been on the Vikings for like.
And Raiders for a while.
Yeah.
Wow, man.
Give us years.
Yeah, I think I need years.
Years?
Yeah.
Years will help.
Was with Seattle from 2016 to 2019.
Ooh.
Was with Pittsburgh in 2019, the Broncos in 2020, Saints from 2021 to 2022, Giants in 2022, and Chargers in 2023, Titans in 2024, and currently a Viking.
This is going to be crazy because I don't think it is because Seahawks, but is it Emmanuel Sanders?
It's not.
No. I think Emmanuel Sanders retired 3 years ago.
Okay, I don't know. I did not know, but I heard because he was on Broncos. I think he was on Steelers
Yeah,
and
he went
Saints. That's the
Steelers,
only reason I
Broncos,
thought about it.
Yeah. 40.
Can you go Bills after? Did he? I don't know.
Oh, he was in the Bills.
Wow.
Thought
Or
he-
that's
yeah, I
E.J.
thought he was on the
Manuel.
Bills for a
I'm
bit.
going
Or
to
that's
need
E.J.
teams one more
which is
time.
another deep cut.
I need teams one more time.
Emmanuel Sanders.
Oh,
quick
wait,
break.
wait. Who? No. No, it's not that. No. I was thinking of a quarterback real quick. Some sort of quarterback, but I don't even think he had the Bears. I was thinking
Like
Nathan Peterman.
cornerback.
I think
was
it's a
thinking
wide
Nathan
receiver.
Peterman,
I don't
but-
know.
I think it's defense.
We might need the position. I think I'm already tapped out for position.
Position is tight end.
Whoa.
2 years on the Saints.
Wait.
I
have no.
Nick Van Ness.
I was about to say.
It is
I was
Nick
about to
Van
say.
Ness.
I was about to say. I don't know Nick Burnett's
There you go. There was
career
that
path.
one.
Nick Van
God,
Ness was
another
never
one.
on the Colts.
No.
He sounds like a Colt, right?
That's the most Colt thing. Wait, what? I always thought Nick Van Ness was a Colt.
I was trying to think of what tight end is from the Saints on like 2021, 2022 that I have no idea where
Oh,
he ended up.
Seahawks would have got you.
Oh,
I'll be honest.
No.
I thought I remembered him on the Titans.
You could
I
have
don't know
told
why,
me
but I
Van Ness
remember
was
him
on
on
the
the
Saints
Titans.
from the start of his career. I know he was a
my
Bronco for a
God.
little bit, but
Wouldn't
they
have
would
been surprised if he
definitely
started
had a
on the
former
Saints and
Colt tight
retired.
end.
Kobe
Well,
Fleener.
The Saints
Kobe
definitely had
Fleener.
Kobe Fleen. Wow, I really thought Nick Van Ness was a Colt. That's crazy.
He definitely sounds
And
like
that's,
a
I
Colt.
feel like that's more of an obvious one that feels less obvious. So I feel like that was.
I
Once
didn't
he
know
got
he played for that many
position-
teams.
No.
Position was kind of like I couldn't. I'll be honest, can't name any other ones. So I was like, I knew it wasn't Josh Hill, and knew it wasn't. So I was just like, well, I mean, obviously,
My mind's blown.
I didn't. Know
I don't
he-
remember on any of these
I
teams.
didn't know he was
except for
still
Saints.
in the league and also on that many teams.
I remember on the Titans
after
and
his Saints tenure, he was just all over the place.
All right.
The more you know.
That's I need to start grabbing these. All right, we're gonna go to the next one, which is just gonna be our final predictions for the game, and also throw in like a prediction, could be bold prediction, non-prediction. So just kind of how do you think the game is gonna end? Do the Saints win? And you can elaborate on that a little bit. If not, it's cool. And then just like one statistic or one thing that you think happens, that's your prediction. I'm actually just going to start because I think mine's pretty easy. I got Chargers 20, Saints 14. I don't think the Saints can put up that much points. I think me and Nick kind of talked about this and might steal this from Nick because we talked about it already. I think Spencer Rattler is actually going to score in his first drive running the offense. That's kind of been my prediction. I think he'll start out hot and then probably vanilla out from there and score 7 more points for the rest of the game, whoever the quarterbacks are. But my biggest prediction is I think the Saints defense gets 5 sacks. They have not shown to be scared to rush the passer, and they have been sending a blitz at young guys this whole time. Trey Lance, still a younger guy, not a lot of NFL experience. How do you want to beat that type of person? Just blitz him. So I think the Saints are going to lose the game, but Spencer Rattler scores on his first drive, and the team ends with 5 sacks.
I don't know if you saw my face when you mentioned the sacks. That was my other one. I had the Spencer Rattler operating the offense with ease and leading an opening touchdown drive. And we've seen that from him in camp. So I don't think that's too much of a bold prediction. I also think that it's a possibility that the Saints defense notches 5+ sacks. I've mentioned it before. Brandon Staley been setting that house at practice. This would be a perfect time to see what you've got. We'll probably see a more vanilla defense, given it's the first week of the preseason. But I'd still like to think we see some improvement from this time last year. But then my biggest one is that Quincy Riley starts with the ones and does what we've seen from him all of camp, snagging an interception in his first career game. I feel like this could really strengthen his case to become the starter opposite alongside Kool-Aid McKinstry, because he's really stood out during training camp. And if you put it on tape on the field, you can't really argue with that. So that would be huge for him. Yeah, those are my three predictions as of now. When it comes to a final score, I have the Chargers winning this game 31-14. I see the Saints offense settling down a bit after the first couple drives. Like I said, it's going to be very vanilla play calling from both sides of the ball. And the Chargers showed that they have that preseason firepower in last week's blowout win. So that's what I'll go with, 31-14 Chargers.
That must be I like the prediction. It's interesting. You'd go give them 31 points off of with getting intercepted and 5 sacks, though. But it'd be interesting. I actually wanted you to get weirdly specific here. If you want to, who do you think Quincy Riley would be covering when the interception happens? Just get weirdly specific on it.
I would probably say a guy like Darius Davis, get up there, get his hands on the ball. Davis being a shorter guy, can't really see Quincy Riley, who's under 6 foot, doing that against a guy like Trey Harris, who's a big body contested catch guy. So yeah, I'd probably go with a guy like Darius Davis.
So now if it happens, we could just run it back with the clip, and you predicted it perfectly. All right, go ahead, Caleb, and give us your final score and then prediction.
Yeah, I actually also have the Chargers winning. I think it's going to be 17-13, just a defensive battle. I really don't expect, and I know Trey Lance did well last week, but I honestly think the Saints cornerbacks do pretty good in this game, and the Saints defensive line, I think, wreaks havoc against the run and against the pass. Amari Hampton is a extremely talented running back for the Chargers, but with how much focus has been on the run defense this offseason, if they don't do great, I'm going to be actually worried. And then also I think that Spencer Rattler, I am in agreement. First drive touchdown, 100%. I'm very sure of that. But then I think it's just field goals after that. Spencer Rattler gets them into field goal range, gets field goal, and then it's kind of just not a lot of scoring after that. I also think that Jonas Sanker gets a pick. I think he's the one to get the pick. I could see him getting a pick if he's covering Amari Hampton and it's a wheel route or something and he gets a pick, something like that. But yeah, I think he's the one to get the interception, and I think he has a great game against the Chargers. Makes everyone feel comfortable about this safety room. I also think that Bum Beans actually shows out. I really think he has a good game, even when the offense might become stale. I think he's still going to get a good amount of receptions. I could say around 6 and for 70 yards or something like that. I could really see that happening. And he could just be one of those players that, hey, he's not going to show out in practice, but in game, it's going to be very fun to watch him. And then with Rattler's kind of stats, I kind of wrote that out also. I think Rattler's finished the game with 1 touchdown, kind of like we talked about, but 150 yards passing, no interceptions, and not a lot of incompletions. I think that's going to be a clean game. I think it's going to be a consistent game. I think he's not going to look stressed or pressured. I think he's not going to make rookie mistakes, but that's going to be a very good comparison with the other quarterbacks. And I think it's just going to be a very solid game, and that might be enough.
Yeah,
It's like we're all in. Oh, you go.
I was just gonna real quick because I named 2 bold predictions. Since you guys are doing 3, I want to throw a third one out there. It's not gonna make a lot of sense because I said the Saints end with 14 points, so I'm actually gonna put it for Caleb's. This is part of your score prediction now. I'm gonna have Charlie Smith go 2 for 2, 45+ yards on both field goals. That's gonna be my third one there. All right, you go ahead, Drew. I wanted to add my third one in there.
Okay, I don't think I'll have 3 bold predictions, but seems like we're all in agreement here. Chargers, I think, are winning this. I think it's going to be kind of ugly for the Saints. My final score prediction, I was kind of bouncing it around. I didn't have one going into this, but I think it's going to be around 24-10. Chargers win. Rattler will do well in the first drive, but after that, the offense tails out. For my bold prediction, I went into the segment trying to think of one, but I really didn't know. I'm just going to take a flyer on a guy that I really like to show out. My guy Devin Neal's not playing. That That probably would have been mine if he was. But I'm going to go Marcus Yarns. Shows out, gets some more playing time, proves he can be effective in the pass game, and leads the Saints in rushing yards. Just really like Yarns. I feel like he can have a place in this offense. Don't know if he's going to be. I don't think make the roster. I don't really see a path for that, but I think he could be a good practice squad guy, and I think he's going to prove his value in this game.
And there'll probably be quite a bit of running from the Saints side. Actually, I don't know. With the QB competition, how much do you actually run the ball?
That's what I was about to say. I think they're going to try to force them to pass a little bit, and also with the wide receivers, because there's so many wide receivers. You want to see. I'm less comfortable with the wide receivers than the running backs right now. Like I kind of can see, and with the offensive line being improved, I can see them doing well just because circumstance. Well, and with how good the Chargers corners apparently are, that's going to be very fun with the passing game. So I think they get thrown to the
It
wolves in
is
this.
under a Kellen Moore offense, though. So I mean, it's still significant there.
I mean,
Run
to be fair,
heavy,
they.
so-
I don't think Kellen Moore's going to do like.
Well, he's not gonna.
Like I don't think he's going to show his scheme. Like that's why I was saying that. I think Brandon Staley kind of has to show his scheme a little bit because it's a defense. Well, Kellen Moore can just be like run down the middle, deep pass, like very basic things. But yeah, I think one of the reasons I think we're also all saying that like the offense is going to stale out is because of that kind of scheme thing. Like they're not going to go crazy with it, and also because the Chargers defense seems to be good, even in their backups. So it's going to be, and the fact they already had a game too.
Mm-hmm.
The Saints are very much the underdog in this situation. It's not, and also I want to say that. If they lose, it doesn't matter. I don't care if the Saints lose or win in this game. I'm not going to lie. Unless it's a game-winning drive by one of these quarterbacks, like Spencer Rattler did against the Cardinals, I really don't care what happens. Now, do I want to see this? The main things, run defense. You cannot get gashed. That cannot happen. That cannot happen. The corners need to look at least fine because that also cannot happen where they're just getting absolutely destroyed with the starters in. And the offensive line, if some of the starters play, like Trevor Penning, I have a feeling is going to play heavy minutes in this game because it's a new position. He needs reps. If he gets absolutely destroyed like he did last season in preseason, I'm scared. I'm very much scared. But yeah.
I'm excited to see the run defense. The Chargers, Omarion Hampton, did play last game, so I mean we can probably expect him to play one or two drives. Plus they have Kamani Vidal, who I actually really liked out of the draft last year. I believe he was from Troy. I believe that's where he was from, but the Saints are going to be tested on the run game. So it's going to be interesting to see how they fare.
Yeah, and this might be our chance to see guys like Vernon Broughton really show the team why they selected him with that run defense ability. And guys like Danny Stutzman will really have a chance to show what they've got. Caleb made a great point about Trevor Penning. We'll actually get to see how comfortable he really feels in that new role at guard. And look, if it doesn't go well, obviously this is his first time. I don't think it's worth overreacting, but if it continues throughout the preseason, maybe that's something else you have to monitor.
I want to say it's really interesting. Caleb said the Saints are very much underdogs on this. So I actually went to check. The Saints are basically, I mean, it's preseason, so it's a little hard. But they have us, the Saints are negative 112, and the Chargers are negative 108. So it's pretty even there. And we could say it's preseason, so they just don't know. But the Seahawks are like favored negative 230 for tonight's game. So, it's not, they're going to put the odds where I think it's at. So the Saints, they don't see the Saints as much underdogs, and my guess is because they see the Saints having two quarterbacks that are going to see play time, and that's my guess. But I do agree. I do think the Saints are underdogs. I think it's going to be pretty difficult for Tyler Shough to go out there and play against a defense who's already played. Even Spencer Rattler, again, I think we've almost agreed. We think he's going to go out there and start with the boom, but I also think the offense stales out, and after that you scored one touchdown over 3 quarters, which is something interesting that we all picked because we don't have the Saints going over 20, and I believe we all had the Chargers going over 20, or if not, one person had them at like 17, I believe.
I had them at 17.
But other than that, we all had the Saints going 20 and over, and the Saints don't reach past, I think, 14 for us. So it's kind of all came to agreement. So it kind of be crazy if Spencer Rattler does lead an opening touchdown and then nothing else happens for the rest of the game, as we all strongly feel like would. But with that being said, man, this game, I'm extremely hyped just to watch Saints football. I think that's been the big thing is we have had no Saints football. I mean, we've seen clips from scrimmages, and we're going to see some more clips from scrimmages tomorrow. But we're going to finally get to see all these guys in the Saints uniform, number, jersey in the back, real hitting, real playing hard, and for a lot of these guys, fighting to see who really earns that roster spot, because there's a lot of spots on this roster where just to name some guys like Christian Boyd, where does he fit on the roster? Is there a spot for him there? Because that defensive tackle room is busy. And this is going to be a great chance for us to finally see it. I know Christian Boyd's a guy that some of you have named, or you did your 53-man roster, and you didn't know if he actually makes it or not. But with that being said, I think this is the ending, unless anybody else has something else that they want to close out with.
I just want to close out on one thing. This is why preseason is fun when your team is kind of rebuilding a little bit, because we are going into this with actually every single position besides maybe like two that it is complete position battles. We're watching every single player. We want to see something from every single part because everyone's so young and there's so many question marks that this is where we get answers. So make sure to watch the episode after the game on Monday because it's going to be a lot of that. And we're going to get a lot of answers, but we're also going to possibly get more worries or some positives, but it's going to be very fun.
May walk away with absolutely nothing. We may come out here, the Saints scored 3
That would
points.
be bad.
And I mean, that would create a lot of questions, but that might give us a lot more answers on things as well. But with that being said, did you want to say something real quick, Nick?
Yeah, I just wanted to say something real quick. I don't know if y'all remember last year, Clint Kubiak's offense in the preseason was dreadful. It was so
It was
bland.
horrible.
There was not much going on at all. And then you saw what happened in the first 2 weeks of the season. Mm-hmm. So to the fans, expect this to be a little bit boring, a little bit sloppy. The Saints are going out there with an entire new regime, entire new roster. This is a learning opportunity for everyone involved. And look, Kellen Moore, like Caleb said, is not just going to go out there and reveal a scheme in the first game of the preseason. So just enjoy those position battles and don't take this game with a grain of salt.
All right. With that being said, make sure you guys tune in Monday, like Caleb said, because we will be recapping Sunday's game then. And y'all have a good one.